All right, I'm really pleased to introduce you to a really interesting man, Walt Chaney. And he's written this book. I love the cover. It just pulls you in, but the story pulls you in, the novel. And it's called Rapture, the Greatest Promise Ever Made. And there's a big question mark on the front. And it's a story about these four friends on horseback. And wait till you hear what happens to them and how this tale takes us through, I think, our own journeys and makes you really think deeply. But it's very entertaining. And it's filled with some things that kind of grip you. There's some fear in there that you go, whoa. But Walt's here, so I'm going to let him tell you all about his great book as we bring him on to America tonight with me, Kate Delaney. Walt, thanks for coming on.
Kate, thank you very much. I'm excited to be a part of this and help with my book. I hope some people find it interesting. There's a lot of adventure there. There's a little bit of sci-fi about how toxins can work on human beings. There's some sabotage in it from the white group or white supremacists, which have made themselves domestic terrorists. And we have some epidemiologists involved too, which are three of my favorite scientists. They're working out to find out what happened to all these church people, because early in the book, several churches, there's a die-out, almost 800 people in the Southeast, and there's a race to find out what's happened to these people. Well, in the midst of the race, so many Christians have died, the questions come up as, is this rapture? Well, you have to read the book in order to find out, is it rapture or is it something else? But my book is about these four guys that really take a journey and sort through their feelings and their beliefs, and they share with each other as adolescents would, just a curious mind. And they're trying to do the right thing.
So they're trying to do the right thing, and they're enjoying the beauty of the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, which are incredible. I've had the fortune of being there. I hope a lot of listeners have, but if not, you're going to get taken right into the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia in Walt's book. So there they are on horseback, and all this beauty is around them, but then something happens, and then you start to deal with good versus evil, like you're saying, and trying to kind of reconcile what's happening. And these are recently graduated high school students, right?
That's correct. And they're really unaware on their journey in the beginning to the problems that are happening in the Southeast. So as they're traveling horseback, they start to run into different types of folks. And there's some Southern Baptist church that's trying to get to the Blue Ridge to find isolation, so they encounter them. And then they come into the encounter of observing the white supremacist camp. Make that pretty scary, and it's a little mysterious how these men behave and their orders and how they interact with each other. And it is based on a manifesto of a white supremacist group and what their actual goals are. And I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, so at the time when the riots happened, I was right there, and I watched all these problems exist and just how upsetting it is to look at different minorities. And the white supremacists, as they go through their discussion at that meeting, which the boys are listening to, they don't even refer to them as people. They refer to the other groups as tribes. So there's this internal anger and fight and kind of savage kind of on background to how these guys are. So the first attack is they infiltrate a juice factory. And this juice factory supplies the communion cups for all these churches. So that's the first attack, and a lot of Christians die from that. And it's the epidemiologists have to figure out how that could have happened. And there's a lot of forensics piece about where the contaminant was actually input. They didn't even know where it was happening and why it was happening in the beginning and all the scariness. So the science realm or the forensics behind it. It's kind of interesting. I drop clues to see if you can figure it out as you read through. And then, because it becomes a criminal offense, we have another character that comes in, and he's the CIA agent who follows the traffic of these deviants, for lack of a better word, white supremacist ideas. And the epidemiologist, the CIA gentleman, Dr. Walesi is my character, and the boys all end up, at the end of the story, everybody connects. It's kind of like those lovely Seinfeld episodes where everything looks like it's happening at different places, but at the end, it all comes together. So that's the excitement, and that was my objective in the book, is try to bring people into the whole idea of what's happening.
And some of this is personal, right? I mean, listen, you've been a teacher for 33 years. You understand teenage boys. You've taught, and even baseball and football, and so this is your people that you've observed, that you know well, and I think that's part of why the writing is so flushed out so well. And for you, was there a lot of that in there? Characters and people that you kind of knew, pieces of that?
That's exactly how it happened. And finally, that's kind of, as Bradbury says, that's how I found my muse in this, or my voice, was that as I taught, I told stories for students to remember certain things about biology. Well, I didn't really ever see myself as a writer, but then for one day I started playing around and started writing dialogue and describing scenes using dialogue and using different characters. And these four guys are dear to my heart. Wally, of course, is me. Ed was the president of my senior class in high school. Mike was the treasurer, and I had gone to church with him since I was 4 years old. And Dalton, the southern country boy who has a whole lot of common sense, he was a young man that I'd met probably about my 25th, 26th year teaching. He was just a fascinating young man. So all those guys come together with the horses, and they're on their adventure right after they graduate from high school. So they're talking about their futures. They're talking about, I call them campfires, around the campfires when it all happens, how they misunderstand things and how goofy they are. And then Wally, that character, starts to use the Bible and starts to draw things out of Proverbs and how to react and how to respond to things. So that's that Christian background. So there's a lot in there. It's pretty exciting, actually.
It is pretty exciting because you take us through a lot of different kinds of people, like you said, who they encounter and what they're thinking about. So when people pick up your novel, what do you, and you're really saying it in this conversation, what do you hope they take away? Well,
first of all, I hope that they laugh out loud at the story. I really do. I hope that as they read it, they're so plugged in that there's a smile on their face, or if somebody's near them and says, "What are you reading?" That question. And that's the first thing, because there's nothing more beautiful than, in my opinion, and being a teacher all these years, is getting somebody to show an emotion. Because if you show an emotion, it shows that you care, and that interaction shows that you really do care about these people, and I'd like for them to laugh. I hope that there's some people out there that love horses to see my perspective on that, because the horses are just amazing. If you really love the horses, you look in their eyes and you just tell that there's a big soul in there. It's not just some big clumsy thing. So I express that on how men and horses develop relationships, and that's dear to my heart because of Sadie, the thoroughbred adoption that I have. And then just the fact that there's a mystery there, and see if they can, as they read it, solve it before I actually finish the book. So that's the beauty of always trying to figure out who done it. So there's a little bit of that in there, and how all this comes to play are the different scenes that I hope that readers just jump in there and try to follow along with it. And also, it's thought-provoking. It's a fictional story, but if you there's some profound thoughts in there about, well, maybe God does interact this way. Maybe we should behave this way to other people. Maybe we should not. So I've really tried to put a lot in there through my dialogue.
Well, this is a perfect place to end this. You did a wonderful job. You can get it any way you like it. Kindle, hardcover, paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Walt Chaney, thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so happy to be able to share it with you, and hopefully all the listeners tune in and give it a shot. Please do. I want to throw something out there. Fort Union Military Academy, we're always trying to raise some funds, and we got some projects going on around, and if I can sell enough, I really want to contribute back to Fort Union Military Academy. There's a lot of good things happening here for the young men and how they're becoming adults. And we could use some fixes on some athletic fields, and I would like to buy some more software for my students. So if you do read it, I hope you enjoy it. But if you just have it in your heart to just spend a little money there and help out Fort Union Military Academy, we've turned out some great young men and hopefully continue to do that. We've been here since 1898, so we hope to stay here until 2098 for sure.
Yeah, I love that. What a great sentiment. And you can get it, like I said, for a song on Kindle. Help Walt out. It's a great, great academy. Thank you.
Thank you.